Hey gang, it's Grizz here. It's time to do a question and answer. So I've got a question from someone from DIY Molds here. I'm gonna use keep everybody anonymous because I know sometimes people don't like to ask questions because they think that, oh, maybe it's a silly question, or they're embarrassed that they think that somebody will think, oh, that's a silly question. Listen, no questions are silly. I don't judge anybody, especially if everybody's starting green and fresh. It's really important to get some of these answers, so please don't feel intimidated. So the question is, it's an easy one. They say, how can I clean up the edges of dried concrete leaves? So I'll show you what I do. I think I might have done in previous videos, but it's worth going over again for sure. So here's one here that's done up, and I know what you're talking about. It's when you get this overburden hanging around, like on there. When it's really green, when you first flip it, you sometimes can just brush it with your fingers and kind of smooth it out a bit, but sometimes it's quite a bit bigger. So what I use is my Dremel here, and I use these little diamond bits, and they come from a company called ROK. I get them here in Canada, but I think they're available in the States as well. These are really reasonable. It's something like $9, I think, for this whole set here, and you can see all the different sizes and shapes, and they fit into your Dremel, and they're fantastic for going over the next day, just going over the edge of your leaf. And then sometimes you'll get, like, in between and underneath, you'll get a heavy spot. It's good to just get under there and clean all that. Doesn't take long, 5 minutes, and you can zoom along. Sometimes you've got a problem where there's been a leaf fold over or something and you lose a vein. You can actually carve a new vein in once you get good and handy at it. With any Dremel, you know, you got to hang on tight to these suckers or else you'll set it down and it'll do some crazy wind thing. But once you get good and you can really grip it, you can actually start creating some of your own veins as well if you get a leaf fold over a bald patch for some reason. So that's pretty much that all I do. Sometimes I'll even run a piece of really fine sandpaper, like drywall sandpaper, over the edge as well. But it doesn't take long with one of these. But I use this as well. I use this example. I use it for a lot. For people always ask me too how to clean up seams. So here's the seam on this stylized heart here. So the seam is right inside here, all the way around, and in the center is the seam on this guy. And so I use the same thing. I use the Dremel. I just did it this morning with with that bit, and you just run it along the edge and it cleans it up really nice. You don't really have to go back and do anything. I sometimes will, here I've got a piece over here, I think, when I do statuary, if I'm cleaning up seam lines, I don't like to use, like I said, I use sandpaper on the leaves. I don't like to use like a drywall or a heavy sandpaper on the, I use a wet dry. So here it's a 600 wet dry. So what I'll do is I'll spray this all down, and I'll spray the paper and gently just go over the seam a little bit. The problem with using a regular sandpaper is you'll get rid of that nice finish that you have, the nice smooth finish. This allows you to go over that seam a little bit and not take any of that finish off. It'll just help to smooth it all out. So that's a little trick for you that I use here sometimes. I use that sometimes on big models too. If I had a bunch of bug holes and I'm trying to patch and there's a little bit of overburden on it and you want to get that off, soak it down, soak your paper down, gently rub. You'll get that excess off, and you're left with a nice patch, and you won't see anything left behind. So I just thought I'd throw in an extra while we're talking about cleaning up edges and gone to seams. That wasn't really one of his questions, but the other one is say want to do bench tops or large statues that have a big square base to them. So when it comes out of the mold, what you have to be careful of is your sharp edges, any of your sharp edges. And like I said, any sort of a pedestal, something that has a sharp edge on it. When you first take it out of the mold, you have to be careful not to bang it on a table on its edge, because what'll happen is you'll get a big chunk out of it. So what I do, as soon as I get it out, it's elevated, it's sitting on a couple little pieces of this rubber matting underneath here. So then I take this it's for, I can't remember the actual name of this. It's for grinding concrete. It's made out of the same material that they make the little grinding pads for an angle grinder. So and I'll just take it and I'll place it right underneath, and you have to be kind of rough with it, and you just rub on an angle the whole length, and then I'll spin it around to the one end, and then I'll do the other end, and then you come around and do the back side. And what that allows you is when you have it, you don't have to worry about if you have a little bit of a lip on it. If it catches a table or another hard surface, it'll take a chunk out, and it's really a piss off. So that's just a little tip. And like I said, that any other larger sort of a model, sometimes I do that on the bottom of like large square planters, etc. I'll just give it a quick rub on the corners on the bottom, just so they don't get chunked off. So it's easy to do, especially when your concrete's green. I think this was just tipped out this morning, and same as this one too. So I've run all the edges on this one here too. So anyway, so that's about it for, I was just going to mention too, with the Dremel, what's great with the Dremel is getting into tight spaces too, like in here, this little window in there. It's great for getting your little Dremel in there and working out that little bit there and cleaning up that seam. His other question was related to one of my other videos, and it was, is there a part 0 of my leaf painting vid? Because it already has vein color and a yellow wash on it. I'll have to go back and look. I haven't looked yet this morning, but I don't think there is. I think I had the base on it already. So there's a bit of an optical illusion when you see like there's a darker vein color in a video like that. It's just because of the lighting. The actual lime or the yellow wash that was on it is just like an exterior latex paint. I get like a really good high quality one, with a primer in it as well, and I'll thin it down by about 1/3 and just paint it up. And what happens is you'll see like even looking at this concrete leaf out here, when you look at it, it looks like the veins are dark, of course, because it'll look the same if in a painting video, it can be all one color, but the veins will always look darker, like a different color. Your actual true vein color won't come until your second coat. So whatever your second coat is, that's what your vein color is going to be. So always keep that in mind when you're doing your piece. So your base color is your base color for your leaf. The vein color is your second coat, and that's what your vein color is going to be. Okay, so hopefully it's just, oh no, wait, there is a little bit more. He asked too as well, I forgot this part of his question, was why use the styrofoam or the paper towel when wedging for doing a leaf? Can't you just use the wet sand to sculpt? Absolutely, you can absolutely. I mean, that's how I started. I started just sculpting straight wet sand all the time. But what happened is I had to speed up the process. I mean, because I'm doing a commercially, time is money. So I looked for the quickest way, the shortest amount of time that it could take me to set up. So I get the basic shape of the sand down quick, which you get really fast at doing. You judge by the size of your leaf. And then that's why I have like a big container full of these, or I used to have the big container of the wet paper towel, is because then you can lay your leaf down and quickly put these guys down and be finished in 2 minutes, 3 minutes max. You're done. You don't have to fool around with the sand. But hey, if you got lots of time and you don't have styrofoam, and I mean, styrofoam's messy to cut. If you don't have a shop like this where you don't mind making a big blinking mess, then by all means sculpt the sand. You can do a really good job just doing that. So I hope I've answered his questions. I hope he's happy. I hope everybody's happy with a few little tips there. The shop's a bloody mess, but it's that time of year. But thanks everybody, and hang on to the next video. See you later.